The first time I saw the gas pump activate itself without a car in sight, I knew something about this place was wrong. My name is Daniel, and I work the night shift at a remote gas station off Highway 18, the kind of place you only find by accident or desperation. Surrounded by forest, disconnected from cell service, and sitting miles away from the next speck of civilization, it has always given me an odd feeling. I took the job because I needed the money and the silence suited me, but silence here is not what it seems. The manager, a man named Mr. Teller, gave me a list of operational tasks and another list, one he handed over without a word. The second list had rules. Not work rules. Strange ones. Things like, do not talk to anyone who arrives after 2:13 a.m. I did not ask why. I should have. Working night shifts has a rhythm. You learn to recognize every creak of the building, every buzz of the old fluorescent lights overhead. The gas station sits on a long, empty stretch of two-lane road, one that disappears into a thick forest. It is the kind of place truckers stop when their tank is empty and their options are gone. I arrived here 2 months ago. My last job ended badly, and I needed something quiet. Mr. Teller, the owner, was an older man with a dry voice and distant eyes. During my brief interview, he barely looked at me, simply handed over 2 sheets of paper. The first outlined regular duties: check the cooler, count the register, refill windshield fluid, mop the floor, and take inventory. The second was printed in red ink. Rules for the night attendant. Rule 1. Do not look at the mirror behind the counter after midnight. Rule 2. If a man in a green jacket knocks and asks for gas, give it to him without speaking. Rule 3. Never open pump number 4. Rule 4. If the payphone rings, do not answer it under any circumstances. The first I left, I thought it was some joke, maybe a hazing ritual for new hires. But Mr. Teller did not laugh. He just said, do not break them. That is all. My first few shifts were uneventful. The occasional driver rolled through, bought chips and energy drinks, and left. I followed the rules, even if they made no sense. On the 4th night, the payphone rang. I ignored it. 10 nights into the job, the man in the green jacket arrived. His old pickup rolled in around 2:05 a.m. He stepped out without shutting the door, eyes hidden under a dusty ball cap. He walked straight to the window and tapped it twice. No words. I remembered rule 2. I nodded and walked out to the pump, carted it in, and started fueling. He never spoke, just stared at the trees. When the pump clicked off, I turned to tell him it was done. He was already back in the truck, staring through the windshield. The truck rolled away slowly, headlights never turning on. That night, I could not sleep. A week later, something changed. Around 1:30 a.m., the radio behind the counter let out a loud burst of static, then silence. I did not touch it. Rule 6 had said clearly, if the radio changes channels on its own, let it. Then came the knock. Not on the door. On the back wall. I froze. No one could be behind the building unless they were in the woods, and there is no path back there. The knock came again. Measured. I stayed still. The clock ticked to 1:40 a.m. A shadow passed over the window, slow and thin, like someone pacing. I turned off the lights and crouched behind the counter. After 5 minutes, the quiet returned. By the 3rd week, I had memorized every rule. They had begun to feel less like guidelines and more like laws of nature. I did not question them anymore. Until the mirror tricked me. It was 12:02 a.m. I was restocking gum under the counter and stood up too fast. My eyes caught the mirror. My reflection was smiling. But I was not. The grin was wide and unnatural, lips curled back too far. My hands shook as I looked away. Rule 1. I had broken it. The air in the station grew thick. A buzzing sound started, like insects in a light fixture. The lights dimmed, not flickered, but pulsed. I backed away from the counter and hid the storeroom door. Inside, everything was quiet. I sat down on the floor and counted backward from 100. At 94, the light under the door went dark. At 62, someone knocked on the storeroom door. At 30, the payphone rang. I did not move. I stayed there until the sun rose. When I stepped out, everything looked normal. The mirror was blank. The payphone was still. but the fear had settled in, deep and permanent. 3 nights later, someone broke Rule 3. It was not me. I swear it. Around 3 a.m., I heard a clanking sound. I went to check the pumps. Number 4, the forbidden one, was unlocked. The nozzle had been removed, lying on the ground. A small puddle of gasoline shimmered beneath it. No one had pulled in. No vehicles on the cameras. Nothing. I locked the pump, wiped up the spill, and returned inside. But as soon as I stepped behind the counter, every light in the station went out. Darkness swallowed the building. Through the windows, I saw figures. They stood at the edge of the lot, just beyond the lights. Women. Children. Silent. Watching. They began to walk. I grabbed the list of rules. Scanned for something, anything, that told me what to do. At the bottom, a new line had appeared. Rule 10. If the watchers gather, stay behind the register and do not speak. They pressed against the glass, eyes blank, faces blurred like smoke. I kept quiet. I did not blink. By 5 a.m., they were gone. But I knew now that something had changed. The rules were growing. Reacting. I considered quitting. But something told me I would not be allowed to leave so easily. The next night, the final rule came. At 11:58 p.m., the payphone rang. It rang continuously. I covered my ears, but it kept going. Finally, it stopped. Then a new list appeared on the counter, printed in the same red ink. Final protocol. Rule 1. At 2:13 a.m., the station door will unlock on its own. Let the figure inside. Rule 2. Offer them a drink. Any drink. Rule 3. When they ask your name, give a false one. Rule 4. If they call you by your real name, run. Exactly at 2:13, the lock clicked. A tall figure in a long coat stepped inside. Their face was featureless, like molded clay. They sat at the counter. I offered a soda. They took it without a word. Then they spoke. What is your name? My throat closed. I forced a name out. Jacob. The figure tilted its head. No, you are Daniel. I ran. I bolted into the storeroom, slammed the door and waited. The lights went red. The building groaned. My head filled with static. At 5:57 a.m., everything stopped. When I stepped outside, the world was silent. Empty. Peaceful. As if none of it had happened. I still work here. I do not think I have a choice anymore. The rules have changed again, and now they have my name at the top. Some nights are quiet. Others feel like a test I barely pass. The gas station no longer feels like a place. It feels like a barrier, a doorway between things that should never meet. I have learned that the rules are not just to protect me. They protect what lies outside from what waits inside. Last night, a new note appeared. It only had 4 words. Train your replacement carefully. And this morning, someone called about the open night shift position. I told them to come by. I will hand them the rules myself.